Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good night. This is Ethan Allen reading Brian Jack's Rakkety Tam. We're on the last chapter of the book. As you can see from this picture here, it's a sick squirrel in the bed with a squirrel on the bedside. So let's go ahead and see what goes down in the last chapter of Rakkety Tam. Thanks for joining me on this journey. Tam recalled distantly his very young days when he had grasped the thistle whistle was picking flowers for his mother, or was it his mother? He couldn't recall who, but it was a creature with deep dark eyes murmuring to him, soft as a summer dream, "Hold still now, it's nearly done. There, that did it." Opened his eyes, he found himself lying in Redwall Infirmary on a spotless white sheet bed. Sister Armel shielded his eyes from the mid-noon sunlight pouring in through the open window. She put aside a length of fine flax and a small thorn needle, reaching for some warm water, ointment, and dressings. Still dazed, the boarder murmured drowsily, "Oh, did you get all the prickles out? I didn't cry, did I?" Doogie Plum's voice answered him, "Nah, you didn't cry. You were good, wee babe. Ha 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 ha." Sister Armel spoke severely to the Highlander. "Mr. Plum, stop moving his paw and hold it still, or I'll never get his dressing on." Tam came fully awake now. He tried to sit up, but was pushed back down firmly by the infirmary sister, craning his neck. He could see the crowd gathering in his passage beyond the open door. Sister Armel, Doogie, and Abbot Humble were the only ones allowed inside the room. Slightly bewildered, Tam looked questioningly at Doogie. "What happened? Oh, my leg feels stiff." Armel tried off the paw bandage, explaining briefly, "Your leg should feel stiff, Mr. McWhirl. It was cut to the bone by that creature's claws. I put it to a splint. Your left paw was almost sliced through by Martin's sword. You were holding the blade when that awful beast fell upon you. I've stitched it up, and it should heal properly, providing you keep it still and get lots of rest." Tam wriggled his nose at Doogie. "She's being bossy again, mate. I can always tell when she's in a mood, 'cause she calls me Mr. McBurl. And I can remember her from out there and is passing out. Tell me what really went on." Doogie began playing their old game, speaking to Tam in a mocking bad temper. "I'll tell you what happened, Daddy. You ruined my best and only claymore. Oh, and that, don't you know, that sword still Martin's sword is made of, but it cut great chunks out of my blade. Ah, when I picked it up, my poor claymore fell into two pieces. Oh, and another thing, your shield will ne'er go into battle again. It's battered and hold and bended in most in two halves. And what possessed you to sharpen its edge all around like a blade, eh?" Tam laid his head back down the pillow. "Oh, that was a little tip I got from Martin the warrior." Doogie Plum threw up his paws in resignation. "Oh, that explains everything. He should have been called Martin the Destroyer of Weapons. That's a bonny claymore and a fine buckler completely destroyed thanks to him." Abbot Humble and Armel could not help but smiling as they listened to the two warriors wildly arguing. "You're a terrible beast, Doogie Plum, sitting there tied to your comforting stake while I'm left in fighting Gulu. By and by, did I win, or did he take a nap and I missed it all?" "Ah, you took a wee doze, but they tell me you cut off the old Gulu's head with your shield edge. Personally, I don't believe it. I think he slew himself because he was afeard of breaking the loose branch to teach him a lesson. His head's still in the ditch. You can go ask him for yourself, though I do not ken he will talk to anyone any more." Tam grimaced. "Aye, that must have been a bad loser, Doogie. I suppose you let the other vermin escape?" The Highlander scratched his tail. "Well, we considered it. The rest of the vermin fought hard, but that's Captain Ferdinand. He's no very fussy on vermin. Him and one will finished them before we got the chance. Och, and I'll tell you, Tam, those shrews were no pleased at all." Tam looked mystified. "What shrews?" Doogie gave him a Janus glance. "Don't you recall Logolog Toogie telling you he is going to fetch help when you parted the company? You've got some explaining to do, laddie. The captain and one will had no sooner paid his last vermin when two comes charging out of the trees and Toogie and 10 score of goosum, armed to the teeth and roaring blood and slaughter. Mind, it was nothing compared to old Fur Glusum when he saw that he had 200 more mouths to feed for a few days. So that's my bad news now. Have you got any good news for me? Tam winced as Doogie patted his injured paw absently. Good news, eh? Did you hear I got my claymore back and Arlen's royal banner too? Skipper found a hole in the stream bank where the thieving Volrubber had hidden them. Doogie grinned. So I heard. As a matter of fact, I talked to the good Sister Armel to giving me your claymore, seeing as how you ruined my claymore with your hard steel sword you were carrying. Oh, I thought it was only fair. Tam sat up outraged, but Armel pushed him back down before explaining herself. I was only acting for the best, Mr. McBurrow. Besides, what would you be needing 2 swords for? Tam spluttered. But one of them belongs to Redwall. It's Martin, so the sword on mine. The informer sister shrugged. Well, it's always there. You should need it to defend Redwall against foe base. Oh, and I sewed the tears in your banner, and I washed it and pressed it. I must say it looks a bit more acceptable now. Tam, however, was not listening to Armel. He was raveling on at Doogie Plume. Hi, some mate you out of you, worse than Rufus Lightpaw, reeling my best claymore off with an innocent infirmity, sister. Shame on ye. There's no beast more disgusting than a claymore thief. Huh, I'd best hide my dirk and my sugadoo before you take a fancy to them too. Armel waved her paw sternly. Enough. I've heard enough. Clear this room so my patient can get some rest. Out you go, Mr. Plum. And you too, Father Abbot. Be off with you. The rest are you hanging about in passage outside. Have you no chores downstairs? Begone every beast. Humble protested. But I was just sitting here quietly. Tam winked at him. I'd go if I were you, Father. She's in one bossy moods. See how her chin sticks out? The pretty young squirrel tried not to smile. One more word out of you, Mr. McBurrow, and... Tam scowled fiercely. And you're what? She smiled sweetly. And I'll have Father Grissom make us a nice tray for afternoon tea for 2. So what do you think of that, Mr. McBurrow, eh? Rakkety Tam McBurrow gave a deep sigh of satisfaction. I think it's a wonderful idea, Sister hers. All right, the epilogue. It's now been 15 years since Ghoul the Savage was slain by my father. Fallen green leaves are turning to gold and brown and covering our orchard with thick carpet, which is deliciously crisp under paw. It's a beautiful summer it has been. Let me tell you a trip I made quite adventurously for a maid who has never strayed far from Redwall Abbey. What excitement! Armel, my mother, finally persuaded Tam, my father, and my uncle Doogie Plume to return the great banner to its owners. Father was willing, but Uncle Doogie did not, and was grumbling, change that like their own fushpots, stew in their own juice, and weep in salty tears to get their flag back. Those were 2 his words. Well, that's the end of the book, guys. Have a great day. Please like and subscribe. Love you, Jacob. Love you, Amanda. Love you, Isaac. Love you, Zay. Love you, Mariah. Bye-bye now.